less calculation and comparison. Live with compassion and generosity, and life will be peaceful. Life, if you can reduce comparisons, lessen calculations, release grudges, be more tolerant, more understanding, and more generous, then each day will become a new day, and the world will become peaceful. A person's life passes very quickly. If you can step beyond illusory fame and gain, you can reach what is genuine. When life encounters complicated situations, resolve them gently and set aside unnecessary entanglements for peace of mind so you can move forward. Yielding to others allows you to avoid petty rivalries. Shifting your gaze to the distance reveals the rainbow after the rain. Packing your luggage lightly lets you travel leisurely for thousands of miles. In fact, the most beautiful scenery is not what the eyes see, but what the heart perceives. Deep feelings don't need to be voiced. They can be discerned through actions. If you see everyone's strengths and find meaning in every matter, you will find this life joyful and the world wonderful. If you look at life with troubled thoughts, see everything as burdensome karma, then the world will become ugly and hateful. Many people hope to become more beautiful. In reality, the best way to be beautiful is to maintain a serene heart and a joyful spirit. This beauty makes those around you feel at ease, free from any dislike. Indeed, whatever you receive in this life is the result of what you did before, and what you do now will lead to future results. Life continues in this way. If you remain aware, you will minimize negative thoughts and not blame heaven and earth when things go against your wishes. Each person's life is singular. Whether short or long, every day continues forward. Whether sorrowful or joyful, each step in life is traversed in its own way. Whether you step back or move on, no one is flawless. No work is perfect in every way. When you encounter small-minded people, don't get into calculations with them, as that only brings more trouble. When you face complicated matters, don't dwell on them too much, for doing so only exhausts yourself. The world is vast. People's hearts are mixed. How could you avoid meeting petty individuals? The mundane realm is boundless. Worldly affairs can be harsh. How could you avoid encountering troubles? Think moderately, view things broadly. Whether you feel angry or choose silent resolution, smile lightly in the end. If there is no sun, listen to the wind and watch the rain fall. If there are no fresh flowers, breathe in the fragrance of the fields. If there is no applause, savor the peace of being alone. Time rotates, seasons pass, no fretting, no blaming, no lamentation, no scheming. Keep your heart calm, walk lightly on this beautiful road. Cherish sincere affections. Safeguard your emotional well-being. When you need self-restraint, take a deep breath to change the atmosphere. When facing difficulties, calmly think them through from a different perspective. When you experience failure, try again to restore your confidence. Learn to face yourself, open up to life, practice forgiving mistakes so each day passes in tranquility. Maintain a humble attitude at work and use sincerity in how you treat people. In life, persistence does not come about only because there is hope. Rather, hope is born from persistence. Nor is it that you seize an opportunity because it's readily available, but by not letting go, an opportunity emerges. It's not that you begin to work because you already understand, but it's through working that understanding arises. You don't assume responsibility just because you've matured. Rather, by living responsibly, you truly mature. Likewise, you don't share with others only when you are wealthy. Rather, by knowing how to share, you become wealthy. Nor do you show gratitude only because you've gained benefits, but by understanding kindness, you then reap rewards. Most of our distress arises because we forget that we like to manage others' affairs and worry too much about heaven and earth. If you want peace and freedom, simply take care of your own affairs, do not pry into others' business, and don't disturb the matters of the universe. When we were small, happiness was a simple thing. Growing up, living simply is real happiness. To not waste this single lifetime here, do what you want and love what you desire. In life, because we have too much expectation, we become disappointed. If our dreams are too far-fetched, they dissolve. If we hold too much inside, it's hard to express. Some people remain unforgettable because there are others we must forget, for they are not worth remembering. Also, don't trust your own eyes completely because sometimes you see only what you want to see, while the things you don't like get ignored. In reality, a misunderstood person loses nothing. It's the one who misreads others that truly loses an opportunity. We all think we control our own lives, forgetting that living actually requires the cooperation of many people. Nor should we sacrifice the long-term future for immediate benefits. Remember, anything gained through someone else's sacrifice is never enduring. Life is so short there's no time for regrets. Don't let people or things that upset you occupy even a minute of your thoughts. If there is no final outcome yet, keep smiling and step strongly forward. Life's path is bumpy. Remember to give a bit of warmth to the person next to you. Amid life storms, save some optimism for yourself. If you know how to love life and gracefully harmonize everything, happiness and joy will gradually radiate farther out. Life is not a race, but a journey. In a race, the finish line is what matters. In a journey, the scenery along the way is what matters. A good mood makes the scenery more beautiful. No matter how many difficulties you encounter today, believe only yesterday cannot come back, whereas tomorrow will surely arrive. Whether with friends or family, there's no need for fancy words. Honest sincerity is enough. No need for vows of oceans and mountains. Say what you do and do what you say. That's enough. There's no need to analyze gains and losses if both sides understand. That's enough. No need for doubt and suspicion. Sympathy and trust are enough. There's no need to be overly zealous. Calmness and tolerance are enough. No need to cling to each other. Every step carrying each other in the heart is enough. No need to be overly intense. Sticking together until the end is enough. No need to be wealthy. Peace and good health are enough. Choosing the right profession brings lifelong success. Choosing good friends brings lifelong wisdom. Choosing the right environment brings lifelong happiness. Choosing a virtuous soulmate brings lifelong bliss. Choosing an optimistic way of life brings lifelong peace. We feel lonely and sad not because the world fails to understand us, but because we cannot let someone go. A truly good friend in life is hard to find, hard to leave, and hard to forget. You don't need to try or pretend. Someone who understands you will know exactly how you are. Don't reveal all your inner feelings to someone you have just met. Understand that some people appear wholeheartedly supportive in front of you, but behind your back, they may think otherwise. Live cheerfully, for life is impermanent and short. Control your emotions well to find peace and serenity. No matter how much sadness you've experienced, it will all fade into oblivion. Nothing lasts forever. Because half of life is memories, let the unhappy things stay in yesterday. Give today your faith and hope, and send all your efforts toward tomorrow. Everything has its own answer. Once you've done your best, there's no need to worry or regret. Just follow the natural flow of destiny. Speaking ill or well of others doesn't affect your livelihood. Don't discuss others' morals, for their level may still exceed yours. Don't judge other families because it has nothing to do with you. Don't pass judgment on someone else's education, as no one ever has enough knowledge. Don't be wasteful because you might be unemployed tomorrow. Don't be arrogant because you might lose your status in the future. Don't try too hard to prove yourself. Remember, there is no one on earth who is completely inferior to you. Practice a bit of humility. Don't rely excessively on others because everyone has a lot to deal with. And when they are free, they just want to rest. Don't do anything harmful to others because karma will eventually come back to you. Never waste time admiring someone else's life, no matter how wealthy and abundant they may be. Neither should you comment on whether someone is happy, even if they seem lonely with no close relatives. because happiness is like drinking water, only you know if it is warm or cold. Don't comment on anyone else's personality, because that is their personal matter. The mistakes of others that you perceive reflect the flaws in your own cultivation. As time ticks through the night, worldly fame, fortune, and love are all as fleeting as a breath. You see then that none of it truly matters. Living by giving is the meaning of a human life. Human suffering often stems from greed, anger, and delusion. Therefore, to live happily, you should let go of some of your desires and accept imperfection as a necessary part of being human. There is a saying, "Tri tuk tien tuk, dai tuk ha thoi tuk," meaning, knowing sufficiency is sufficient. If you keep waiting until you have enough, when will you ever have enough? And knowing sufficiency is one of the key principles to unlock the door to peace. Life isn't a race, but a journey for us to gradually explore the meaning of existence. The important thing is not the reward we receive when we get there, but what we feel along the way. Do you believe some people only realize at their last breath that they have actually lived? So we need to be aware of ourselves, knowing we are truly alive with each breath. Otherwise, we are not really living, but merely existing. We often say that the laws of the universe are unchanging. Many people forget the practice of tranquility. Moreover, they push themselves until they are depleted without considering our human origin. We come from a state of stillness, from emptiness. Because we stay busy all day and at night feel restless, it's because humans need tranquility. The mind can't go on without rest. When you must handle a daunting problem that seems unsolvable, the first thing you need to do is to put your mind down, return to stillness, think of nothing at all. At that moment, a feasible solution may suddenly arise in your thoughts. That is the effect of stillness. If the problem is too hard, the more you think, the more you strain your mind, tensing every nerve, and ultimately, even if you don't die, you'll get sick. All that we have in this life is temporary. If things go smoothly, enjoy them, because they will soon pass. If things don't go well, don't worry. They won't last either. In life, when we lose hope and feel stuck, bow your head, smile, and tell yourself, "My dear self, relax a bit." This is just a bend in the road, not the end. One of the secrets to living in peace and happiness is to simplify complex problems. Receive everything with serenity and fully enjoy every moment of peace and joy. Have you ever tried pausing to observe this world? Maybe you'll realize that life never stops changing, like waves that never cease lapping the shore. Sometimes, waves of worry and insecurity can be gentler than waves of happiness and peace. Occasionally, we think about death and the fragility of human life, as if someone has just narrowly escaped death. Such reflections give us the strength to break free from trivial pursuits. If you had only one day left to live, would you still rush and fight, contending and clashing? Would you still be lazy and indifferent toward yourself? Would you remain insensitive and calculating toward those around you? Would you still indulge in meaningless pleasures, hold on to hatred, or commit cruel acts? Would you speak words that hurt others? Or would you wish for a peaceful morning, sitting on your porch, having a simple meal with your family, looking closely at the bright eyes of your children, carefully observing the toiling, loving expressions of your parents, wishing to say something to make your loved ones happy? When facing death, even the coldest blood and the iciest hearts will warm up. When facing death, winning or losing, material ambitions or deep hatred become insignificant and gradually fade away. Life in itself has no inherent suffering, but when we start calculating gains and losses, greed awakens and suffering follows, entangling us. Ultimately, no one can rescue us from suffering except ourselves. There are too many burdens in life, but we can choose which to carry and which to set down. The only way to escape the tangles of harmful conditions is to awaken. The only way to forget all human misfortune is to let go. We know this, Yet we still fail to master ourselves, still worry about negativity and worldly gains and losses. Even so, please always remember, the way to love everything in this harsh life is to realize that everything will eventually disappear. Indeed, everything will eventually vanish. Why compare and contend with life? Spend a few minutes sitting quietly with yourself, letting your mind blend into the vast sky. Even if it's sorrowful, just observe it serenely. We often hear about the phrase tui duyen, going with the flow of conditions. What is happening in the present? Ceasing resistance and calmly waiting for the right factors to gather. Sometimes, this very attitude itself becomes the crucial condition that connects other beneficial factors. Don't forget that to accomplish something, countless conditions must converge. If even one condition is missing, success is difficult. Having a deep insight into this, plus ample experience, we will know what we should and should not do for favorable conditions to reassemble and unfavorable ones to dissolve. Some conditions may be favorable for us but unfavorable for others, and vice versa. That's just within the human scope, whereas conditions happen for all things throughout the universe. Essentially, there is no favorable or unfavorable, good or bad conditions, simply gather or disperse according to the compatibility between the energy frequencies that each entity emits. Thus, many people are inclined to feel elated when they encounter favorable conditions, wanting to maintain them forever, and feel uncomfortable with unfavorable conditions, trying to avoid them. Yet favorable conditions do not necessarily bring happiness, nor do unfavorable ones necessarily bring sorrow. Sometimes adversity allows us to grow, whereas ease can make us weak. And there are times when conditions that start out favorable end up unfavorable, and vice versa. Whether conditions are favorable or unfavorable often depends on our own courage and attitude. Hence, there is no need to insist on changing the circumstances we aren't happy with, nor to strain ourselves chasing those we desire. When our minds are steady enough to generate peaceful conditions, similar conditions will automatically connect to us. As people often say, those of the same voice resonate, those of the same energy seek one another. More importantly, when we find the vitality within ourselves, we no longer see external factors as critical. Whatever conditions come, we accept them calmly and freely. Remember, sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck. When life hands you a sour lemon, do not fear. Use it to cook or to make a cool glass of lemonade. If you receive a difficulty with a pessimistic, frustrated mindset, then that challenge is merely a sour lemon. But if you accept it with optimism, love of life, and an open heart, that difficulty turns into a delightful glass of lemonade. Whether you grimace at the sourness of the lemon or enjoy the refreshing lemonade is up to you. One of humanity's constant distresses is our tendency to demand absolute perfection from others' behavior toward us. When we accept others' relative imperfections, happiness is within our reach right away. When you can accept this relativity, your heart becomes more forgiving, trusting in people and in life, feeling less discontent and disappointment. In truth, the foundation of life is this mutual interdependence between people, between things, between worlds, between one lifetime and another. No one can live without dying, just as no one can die without reappearing in some form. Since living is interdependent, life is relative. Therefore, in this world, no one can be entirely self-reliant, nor can anyone be absolutely perfect. If you let go of preconceived notions and look closely at the person you hate most, you may discover something surprisingly lovable in them. Perhaps the dislike you feel toward that person is only something relatively unlikable. And if you observe the ones you love and admire the most, you'll realize they too have flaws, mistakes, and imperfections. So perhaps the likable points you see in those you respect is also just relative. Understanding that nothing is absolutely perfect, we stop hating certain people so intensely And we also free ourselves from blind passion or emotional bias, like the saying, "When in love, even a deformed areca nut looks round." We often imprison ourselves in the dungeons of love and hate, in illusions of absoluteness we have created. We are not perfect, yet we demand everything around us to be flawless, causing our own suffering. Once you realize this, I must ask, who can help you slow down, think more positively, and act more objectively? There is only one person, and that's you. If you often remind yourself that nothing in life is absolutely perfect, you will feel relaxed and content in all relationships. Happiness begins to grow when we shift our perspective from within. Happiness comes only when our hearts truly open. A person with a large, compassionate heart does not feel that hardships are unjust. They do not lament their fate or curse the heavens, but remain peaceful and continuously strive to learn and work to improve their circumstances. When facing difficulties, many people shrink or even collapse, but there are also those who bravely move forward. Each hardship or obstacle in our path is a precious chance to strengthen our willpower and keep our mind calm, ready to achieve greater success in the future. Life's journey and the spiritual path share a key requirement: perseverance, patience, and unceasing effort. That's what life is like. There's no real right or wrong, just acceptance. Whether happiness and favorable conditions or suffering and dead ends, everything depends on the state of our mind as we confront life's many storms. Often, multiple failures show us the value of humility and patience. Multiple successes show us the value of courage and faith. Meeting many people shows us the value of genuine friendship. Facing many obstacles teaches us the value of empathy and tolerance. Lots of fame and gain reveal the worth of detachment, and dealing with many disputes reveals the value of harmony and forgiveness. Finding things unpleasant or harsh often demonstrates the value of cultivating one's mind. Socializing often can remind us how precious tranquility is. Facing much deceit highlights the value of honesty. Those who learn to let go of what upsets them and separate themselves from places and people that drag them down are the ones who truly know how to live. As long as there is a tomorrow, today will forever be the perfect starting point to move toward truth, goodness, and beauty. In life, modesty brings love and respect from others. Conversely, arrogance invites dislike. Everyone understands this, but it's still a common mistake. People often invite trouble by talking too much and meddling in trivial matters. If you live amid adversity, walk firmly with your head held high. If your life is peaceful and favorable, maintain a cautious and vigilant spirit to guard against hidden dangers. When you succeed, remind yourself to stay humble. People's desires are endless. Everyone wants to roam freely and become famous. If you're always looking upward in pride, how can you ever notice others' strengths to learn from them? A wise person, when alone, will manage their own heart well, viewing solitude as a good opportunity for self-reflection. When with others, they watch their words, seeing it as a chance for humble learning. Strive to do what you feel is the right thing so you can act with comfort and avoid regret later. Don't canonize yourself, nor let anyone do so for you. Be sure to let the seeds of goodness in your heart manifest in everyday deeds. Practice sincerity and humility. Treat others with kindness to build merit for yourself. In life, when there's a benefit, remember not to take it all. You can't exhaust all the world's benefits in a lifetime. Know what's enough and stop. Even if you are right, don't push someone to the edge. Worldly logic can't be argued to the end, even in 1,000 years. Winning an argument can mean losing your gentle, decent nature. Even if you are extremely talented, never ridicule others. Comparing person to person can easily hurt one another. Comparing object to object can lead to discarding something. Being a person who seems too smart can make those around you suspicious. Being too demanding can cause conflict. Being too arrogant can drive people away. Don't criticize others' virtues or vices. They have no impact on your livelihood. Don't assess someone else's morals. Perhaps you're no more noble than they are. Don't judge someone else's family. It doesn't concern you. Don't judge someone else's education. Nobody has infinite knowledge. Don't be wasteful, because tomorrow you could lose your job. Don't be arrogant, because one day you might fall from grace. Don't try too hard to prove yourself. No one is completely beneath you. Remain a bit humble. Don't rely too much on others. Everyone has their own responsibilities, and when they have free time, they want to rest. Don't do anything that harms others, for retribution will find you eventually. Never spend time admiring someone else's life, no matter how wealthy they may be. Also, don't discuss whether someone else is happy. They may appear lonely and friendless, yet happiness is like feeling the warmth or coolness of water. Only they know. Don't judge anyone's personality because it's their private affair. The shortcomings you see in others mirror your own lack of cultivation. Let go of your own stubbornness. Use compassion in how you view people and judge events. Constantly remind yourself to respect others and cultivate tolerance. Be grateful to the ocean for accepting hundreds of rivers, which makes it vast. Be grateful to friends for their support, and be grateful to rivals who help strengthen your resolve. In this life, we can't avoid two things: walking on and stopping. Are you employing a positive mindset to do both? A positive mindset is the best companion, keeping you joyful and healthy. Whether they're close or just acquaintances, if you have the chance to connect, learn to give. Good relationships are founded on storing up love for others. Don't be impatient when something happens. Refrain from rushing to conclusions, especially in anger. Put yourself in different perspectives to see matters clearly, turning big problems into small ones and small ones into nothing. The more complicated the situation, the more calmly you should handle it. Resolve not to make trivial matters more tangled than they are. Most worldly worries come from pointless comparisons. Obviously, some people will be better off than you, and you will be better off than others. When you complain about not having nice shoes, remember those who don't even have feet. If an opponent can make you angry, that means you still haven't surpassed them. Turning back to see who's cursing you is pointless, like being bitten by a rabid dog and then trying to bite it back. Therefore, there's no need to pay attention to malicious talk from others. Don't consider your work a burden. Instead of complaining, face it with positive energy. Treat work as life and art, and you'll find joy within it. Being alive another day is a blessing. Learn to cherish it. A human lifespan is only a few short decades. Don't do things that will leave you with deep regrets. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Whether you're sad or happy, the day will pass. If you don't trouble yourself with random gossip, life can be serene. When you can let go of the past, value the present, and look forward with joy, you're standing in a high place in life. When you can tolerate even the unpleasant aspects of life, focus on your responsibilities without expecting any benefit, you're standing in a high place of the spirit. When you can look ahead with hope, look down with empathy, and look up with gratitude, you're standing in a high place of the soul. Life not only requires you to see far, see clearly, but also to see through. Seeing far allows you to grasp the big picture. Seeing clearly lets you realize that most people come for fame and leave for profit. Seeing through doesn't mean you stop striving. It lets your mind remain peaceful while progressing. The scariest sign of aging isn't external, but losing the spirit of self-improvement. While you can't change your appearance entirely, you can certainly improve your inner qualities. If your character changes, your life changes accordingly. In your interactions, always remember, kindness, enthusiasm, and sincerity often bring good outcomes. Enjoy what you're doing. Even if you're criticized, don't be discouraged or lose determination, because no one is born able to handle all things perfectly. You must give your best, one task at a time. Even if you're disappointed, don't collapse. Think about your parents and loved ones who count on you. and keep striving. Even if you're tired of it, don't give up, because the issue might not be the job but yourself. So respect every choice. However difficult, don't complain, because everyone has their own issues and can't always help you. Be a bit stronger. No matter how exhausting your work is, don't moan and groan. No one will do it for you anyway. And if you're in dire poverty, don't whine, because nobody will give you money for no reason. When you're sad or exhausted, learn to comfort yourself. If no one cares, you must be strong. If no one encourages you, learn to fly on your own. Even if no one admires you, be clean and presentable. Observe the grass on the roadside and the leaves on the tree. However modest their lives, they still live beautifully. Even short-lived life is priceless. Never treat it lightly, because no one can buy health. Don't be too strict with everything around you, because everything that exists has its own reason. Don't judge others, especially those you don't truly know. We only have the right to be concerned about those we love. When angry, avoid talking, because you'll likely regret the words you say. No matter how tough or grueling life is, never lose your confidence, because beauty lies ahead. There are people who remain silent no matter what. They don't explain when misunderstood, they don't argue when talked about, they don't react to gossip and rumors. Their silence doesn't come from fear or weakness, but because they let time speak. Sometimes silence leaves one feeling calmer than pouring out your feelings. Silence also shows maturity and experience. People grow through time as they face the harsh realities of the world, of society. A mature person is enthusiastic, resilient, and values every moment of life. They treasure life's worth, understanding how precious it is to be born into this world. Evening shades fall, let go of sorrows, full cups, empty cups, again more sadness. Who knows this earthly realm is but a lodging house? How to fill the emptiness in one's heart? We enter the stage of life to buy a bit of joy, dreaming a bit of fame. Living among so many watchful, jealous eyes, we grow weary. Here on earth, we borrow clothes from people to wear, mistaking those garments for ourselves, rags or silk. Eventually, we must return them. This journey through life smiles and tears, exalts and humbles us in turn. All right, farewell the theatrical stage, stepping gently under moonlight with a smile. We choose sincerity and speak candidly, because we realize that deceitful words go against our conscience and are merely temporary tactics. Only genuine dealings and honest words solve issues at their root and leave no trouble behind. We cherish loyalty and affection not out of foolishness, but because we see no need to forsake the good times shared between us. We choose to be kind, not because we are weak, but because we understand that kindness is the original nature of humankind. At birth, people are inherently good. Becoming an evil person is never the right path. Evildoers will eventually face retribution. We choose to be simple-minded not because we truly are foolish, but because we know that when faced with misunderstandings, injustices, or unfairness, it's not worth the trouble to be too calculating. Just smile and observe. Sometimes feigning ignorance is not foolishness, but giving the other party another chance. We choose to yield not because we're retreating, but because we understand that one moment of patience, 9 moments of harmony, a small step back can reveal the vastness of the sky and sea. The root of happiness lies in how we think about people and events in life. Cultivate the following mindsets for a long, peaceful life. We cannot avoid being judged or mocked for our shortcomings. Instead of taking offense, learn to laugh at those imperfections. This shows you're confident in your imperfect perfection. Acknowledging yourself makes self-improvement easier. It's perfectly normal if you and others don't share the same views. There's no need to change just because your opinion differs from everyone else's. As long as your life does no harm to you or others, and you remain true to your conscience, it's fine. Yes, some people receive more favors from life than others. That is nobody's fault. We must accept this hard-to-accept reality that life is inherently unfair. Keep striving toward your goals day by day. If you can't reach your exact aim, at least you'll have gone farther than where you once stood. Also understand you will never have everything you desire. At every stage of life, you will long for something. Even if you obtain what you want, you'll then desire something else. What matters is you learn to be content with what you already have, so you'll feel less stressed each day. We all must choose what to do and what not to do. Think carefully before deciding so you don't waste time on unworthy things. Some people choose deceitful ways and reach success more quickly, but those who choose to be good can go the distance. Be a good person, no matter how cruelly life treats you, simply because being good helps you sleep at ease, free from worry about being exposed for wrongdoing. If you expect others to bring you happiness, rest assured you will be disappointed again and again. Love life and people without expecting anything, and you'll remain at peace. Sometimes, when faced with life's impermanence, we feel as though we might collapse. But if we understand the principle of interdependence, we'll see how we've received so many gifts from the universe. Naturally, the universe has to reclaim some for others. There's no reason for resentment. Where there is success, there must be failure. Where there is union, there must be separation. Yet most people never want to fail. The reason we suffer so often is because we want everything to be constant while life's nature is impermanence. On the other hand, some are willing to bring sorrow to others to benefit themselves or to indulge in happiness. Hence, in one person's gain or joy lies another person's loss or sorrow. But let it be. That's the nature of the world. Only by letting go can we find peace. All suffering and happiness arise from the mind and end there. As your mind is, so will be your view of life. Destiny is born within the mind. When you choose a path, you determine your fate. Don't dwell on the past, live fully in the present, and look to the future. Doing so ensures a brighter tomorrow. Sorrow can be your friend. Authentic peace never leaves suffering behind. Freedom of mind can appear even in a place of sadness. Nirvana and the mundane world share a single breath. In the rain there are sunny droplets. In sorrow there is a faint fragrance of lotus. In the day's shadows stands the night, yet when the night closes its eyes, dawn breaks, breathing new life into our sadness. Suffering in captivity, but seeing a way out reveals a glimmer of liberation. The pangs of heartbreak, yet glimpsing your mother's eyes those wrinkles at dusk. You may hate someone deeply because you once loved them so much. The more you love, the deeper you hate. In the temple, there is the mundane world. In the mundane world, there is also a Buddha's seat. Everywhere and nowhere, in difficulties, we can hear the teachings. Where it's unpleasant, we quietly listen sometimes. That's a teaching in itself. Indeed, in worldly sorrow lies true insight. Parting the reeds along the river, you see an ocean without boundaries. We have compassion within our hearts. Though we may be consumed by the illusions of everyday life, we can still meet the unborn dimension of existence. Embrace silence, and from that emptiness arises limitless presence. In modern life, we talk endlessly of suffering and the boundless miseries of existence. So, who suffers? First, those who are extreme. The middle way is not being too extreme in any direction, because anything pushed to the limit will swing back. Similarly, if someone hits rock bottom, don't be too extreme or despair. Usually, once you hit the low point, you start to rise. Conversely, if you are overwhelmingly successful, don't be arrogant or reckless, or misfortune will quickly follow. Second, the self-important. In life, humble people are well-liked. Arrogant people are despised. We know this but still fall into the trap. People often create trouble by speaking too much and poking into irrelevant matters. In adversity, stand tall with your head up. In prosperity, remain careful and on guard. When you succeed, remind yourself to be modest. Do not parade your achievements or delude yourself. Third, the overly ambitious. Our life begins naked, ends naked. We only eat 3 meals a day. Why carry excessive desires that only make us perpetually dissatisfied? Excessive desires are the root of suffering. If you want fewer troubles, first learn to let go. Understand that letting go here means letting go of greed, not letting go of your duties and responsibilities. Fourth, the fussy. Some people are too strict, constantly fretting over small things, causing themselves endless stress. Living more casually might bring more happiness because meticulous people are easily overwhelmed by trivial issues, leading to fatigue. Always being influenced by minor details robs them of peace, whereas those who live a bit more freely dwell less on everyday trifles and perhaps find more of life's authentic flavors. So let your life be simple, your actions practical, and let the days pass lightly and peacefully. Once upon a time, there was an old man who always smiled and sang. People asked him, "Why are you so cheerful every day?" He replied, "Heaven created all beings, buffaloes, dogs, goats, horses. Humans are the highest species, the most intelligent of all creatures. That I am born human is the first joy. Some humans are born with disabilities, blind or crippled. I'm fortunate to be whole and healthy. That is the second joy. Many people worry and suffer in the struggle for wealth and fame, but I have enough to eat 3 meals a day without concern. That is the third joy. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are inevitable for everyone. I will die just like any other person, so why fret about death? Thinking of these 3 joys I have, my continual singing is natural. Why bother asking? Very often, human misery comes from fearing the loss of something or someone we've grown accustomed to. When we actually lose them, our stability crumbles, and we fall into despair, unable to accept the truth. In fact, you can't lose what you never truly possessed. What truly belongs to you will always be yours, and what doesn't, no matter how you try to cling, will still leave. The moment you realize this, those things you so stubbornly cling to or believe you must have then gradually stopped craving them, you become freer and happier. Love wholeheartedly, but don't let your inner peace and happiness depend on any single person. The crowded world makes our hearts narrow. Winding roads cause people to scheme. Under the summer sun, we feel like deserts, gazing at suffering and numbness. I do not expect you to be perfect, for I am not perfect myself. I only ask that in our hearts we keep the aspiration to live a meaningful life, to care for one another. Mistakes will happen. If we think we're always right and everyone else is wrong, we create gaps. A person who truly knows how to live can find a bridge between differences, still sees the good in each other. We all have our own shadows. In darkness, before speaking, remember to look within yourself. Let your heart be as widespread as sunlight, shining in all directions. Let your soul be like rain, showering widely. Let your love be like the wind that blows everywhere, living without clinging to illusions.